Overwatch League Stage 2 will be upon us in just a couple of days now, and the excitement is palpable as every team is coming back onto the stage with something to prove. With all the analysis and speculation surrounding the teams and plenty of rumors, something that I feel hasn't been talked about much on YouTube at least, is what will the meta be? Stage 2 is dropping a massive balance patch onto the stage, and a brand new support hero. We all know how impactful the last support hero was, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about what I think the meta is going to turn out to be in the next stage. And since I could potentially have limitless possibilities, I've decided to narrow it down to the top 5 most likely metas in my opinion. A bit of a disclaimer to start, obviously, I'm not some insider who knows what's being played in Scrim, so this should all be taken with a grain of salt. I'm just theory crafting here. But with that taken care of, let's jump into the countdown. So, coming in at number 5, and I know that a lot of you are going to be disappointed to hear this, but there always is that possibility that GOATS will remain just as dominant as it was before. Let's go through the reasons that a lot of people believe this. First of all, Baptiste isn't exactly an anti-GOATS character. He pumps out area of effect healing and has a grav bomb nullifier on cooldown. There's also the fact that the balance patch, all things considered, didn't nerf GOATS too much. The biggest change was the nerf to Lucio's speed boost and some minor things like adjustments to the spread of Zarya's secondary fire. Then, of course, there are a few opinions coming out from people like Super, who are pretty confident that GOATS isn't going anywhere. Now, I feel like there's something that needs to be taken into account here before accepting the word from people like Super as fact, and that's the team that he played on. The Shock have established themselves as at least a top 3 GOATS team at this point, and possibly top 2. Since GOATS is still a viable strategy, of course teams who have perfected it like the Shock, Titans, and maybe the NYXL will continue to run it in a majority of situations. But there are 20 teams in this league, and very few of them have perfected GOATS in the way that these teams have. I think a few of them might have other plans. The fourth most likely outcome will be if we see a majority of teams pledging to the Church of Chengdu and picking up DPS heroes once again. We've already seen how triple and even quad DPS comps can have a lot of success on maps like Busan, Eichenwald, and Route 66, and some of the DPS buffs in this latest patch to heroes like Junkrat, Pharah, and Soldier could be crazy and serve as a huge threat to any GOATS lockers out there. In this meta, we could see massive increases in heroes like Wrecking Ball, Winston, Mercy, Pharah, Ashe, Widow, Tracer, Hanzo. That's just off the top of my head. And seeing teams develop their own styles based on the huge amount of DPS heroes available is gonna be great. I would not be surprised if we saw an okay amount of Symmetra this stage. The main issue I have with this, however, is that everyone would just be ridiculously outclassed by Chengdu at this point. I mean, the other teams may think that DPS heroes are their allies, but they just adopted them. The Hunters were born in a DPS meta, they were molded by it. They've been playing it the most and are therefore the best at it, and I think other teams know that. Now, I think to win, teams are going to have to get a little more creative. Listen, the stage finals were great. It was 2 teams that had mastered the GOAT style, dancing back and forth, trading blows, one clutch play after another. It was exhilarating, and it also served as the perfect farewell to the GOATS meta. The chances of us getting a better GOATS v GOATS game is close to 0, and I think Blizzard knows this, so my thought process was, the whole point of GOATS is to be super tanky, but also super sustainable, and we're tired of that, so how do we get as far away from that as possible? Again, we want as close to the opposite of GOATS as we can without getting completely ridiculous and unobtainable, like 6 DPS will probably never work. So the idea I ended up settling on, I call the self-sustain meta. So the whole thing that makes GOATS strong is that there's so much healing and great defensive ults that no one can die, right? So we can't have a team with no healing at all, that'll get rolled every time, but what if we had a team comp that didn't need healers because they could all heal themselves? So which heroes can self-heal? Bastion, of course, he'll be a centerpiece in this meta. Soldier as well, with his damage buff, will be a huge help. Mei becomes invulnerable as well as healing herself, which is just ridiculously OP when I say it out loud. We also have Roadhog with his vape thingy. And then Well, I'll be honest, I reached a bit of a problem because no other non-healers could heal themselves. So the closest that I could do was put in heroes with a large amount of regenerative shields, or the blue health. Symmetra and Zarya can only regen half of their health through this, but I figure they can get the rest through Soldier's Biotic Field. So, there you go. The self-sustained meta will be Zarya, Roadhog, Soldier, Mei, Symmetra, and Bastion. When it actually happens, feel free to call me 1000 IQ in the comments. Alright, I don't mean to be putting on my tinfoil hat here, but isn't it weird that Blizzard seems to want the Houston Outlaws to win? It sounds crazy at first, I mean, why would they be biased towards them, but hear me out here. The main fan base that the Overwatch League is targeting at the moment is North America. That's why 60% of their teams are based in NA. That's why all the games of right now are based in NA, and that's why North American contenders got an upgrade in teams this year, while everyone else got a downgrade. Blizzard wants NA to succeed, and which Overwatch League team is the only team with a majority of North American players? That's right, the Outlaws. We hear every stage about how this meta will complement their strengths perfectly, and how they'll finally break out of their slump, but they never do. They always fail to achieve more than the middle of the pack, and Blizzard needs the Outlaws to succeed. They're getting desperate, and the secret weapon will finally be unveiled this week. We need Junkrat. No, we need 6 Junkrats. Blizzard is going to disable every hero except Junkrat, forcing the Outlaws to play in their ultimate meta. I don't see a single thing wrong with that. Now is the time where we need to get real with ourselves. We need to realize why Blizzard made Overwatch League. It wasn't for the enjoyment of the fans, or the organization of an esports scene, or even trying to make a franchise league that's never been seen in esports before. No, Blizzard made this league to make money. You can argue what you want, but there is no way this league gets made if Blizzard doesn't think they'll get rich off of it. This league is a giant cash cow, and sometimes you need to follow the money, even if it means changing plans that you've been working on for a long time. As a great American founding father once said, follow the money and see where it goes. And where is the money right now? Fortnite. That's right, starting in Stage 2, Overwatch League will transition into a Fortnite League. It's a mutually beneficial agreement. Blizzard needs money, and Epic Games needs to learn how to run a competitive scene. With Epic's money and Blizzard's experience, they will be an unstoppable team. In fact, I am so sure that this is going to happen that I would like to take the time to officially announce my totally original rebrand that I call the Fortnite Dude. The Fortnite Dude will be replacing Dividing by Zero, and you can expect daily content updating you about the drama in the Fortnite League,